Hello, and welcome to Let's Get Cooking. I'm your host, James Horan, and we have a special guest again today. Nelda Pack is joining us. Welcome,
Hi.
Nelda. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Good. We are looking ahead. We are thinking, it's getting a little warmer outside, and we're looking toward maybe even May. How would May be? Or maybe we're looking back. Who knows? A little bit of a Mexican flair here with Cinco de Mayo. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out making a sopapilla casserole. So it's going to have a cream cheese filling. So if you'll open up the cream cheese and whip it together with a cup of sugar.
Okay.
Okay. And what I'm going to go on and spray my dish here with some nonstick spray. And once again, we're going to be using some croissants. So we'll open up some croissants. And what we're doing, so many times when you, or most of the time when you have sopapillas, they're always fried. So we're trying something a little unbaked here. So what I'm going to do is open these out. And we'll throw that away. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line the bottom of the pan. So that way it's really simple, because that way just smooth them out here into the bottom, push it to the side, so that way it's all covered. So we'll do that. And then any of the seams that are in it where it's perforated to be coming apart to make croissants, we're just going to pinch those together. You don't have to worry about it. It's got to be in the pan, so it's not like it's going to be flowing and making a mess anywhere. So we'll just kind of pinch it together here.
Are you ready, set, go?
Yeah, start that mixer. Let us all jump and holler here. All right. This is one of those simple things, and this part of it can also be done ahead, but it's really best when it's hot out of the oven. You can make it up, put it in the fridge, and then when you sit down to eat, put this in the oven, with a 375 preheated oven, and let it cook while you're having your dinner, and it'll be wonderful for a hot dessert. There we go. And so here, as you see, the croissants are here. You can see the little marks through it where they're perforated, and once again, they're all smooth together, covering the bottom of the pan. Okay.
And there you are.
There we are. Okay. And now I've got a spatula here that we'll take and we'll use to spread out our cream cheese. And again, this is 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese together. And there we go. Get as much of that cream cheese as we can get out of there. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and smooth over the top of our croissants. There we go. So we'll put that here into the pan. All right. And this is one of those, it's really good. You can also end up with honey with it for the topping on it, so you can have that on your table ahead of time. But like I said, this is going to be cooked versus being fried, because even if you go out and you have stuffed sopapillas, they usually deep fry them as well. So we're spreading this out on here and trying to get as close to the edges as we can. But it's going to be baking, so it's going to go where it wants to anyhow. But here we go. Once again, it's all covered. And I'm going to use that beater to get that off there so I can get as much of it in here as possible. I got a little spottle on the side. There we go. So you can see that the pan is covered all the way around. Then one more time, I'm going to open another can of biscuits. I'm sorry, not biscuits, it's croissants. Biscuits would really have to work with, but here we go. We'll pop those and let that come out. There we go. I have a trash can down here. Thank you. And here again, we're going to take them and roll them out just like we did on the first ones. This time, we're not going to end up squeezing them together, because if you did that, you're going to end up with all your cream cheese coming up and around. So that way, they'll bake on top almost as if they were a dumpling type. There we go. Now we've got a stick of butter. You're only going to need about half of it. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to be putting about half of a tablespoon on each of these croissant triangles.
So with the croissants, even though they're not together in there, as they bake and rise, won't they kind of go together?
They'll go together and they'll get fluffy. Think about it when you have. Good. Well, when you have your sopapillas, they've always got all those layers to them.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is basically the same thing,
It's
but
flaky.
there we go. So I'm putting just a little dollop, about half a tablespoon on top of each of these croissant triangles. And then, now if you're going to give me about a half a cup of sugar there, and we're going to sprinkle that over the top. And there we go. And what I'm also going to do is so that was about half a stick of butter. So we'll set that back to the side. Now I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon to our sugar here and mix that around with our knife. So the less things that we have dirty, the less there is to clean up. There we go.
So you just mix how much cinnamon to your taste?
Exactly. I usually go for a mocha colored. Then we'll just kind of sprinkle that over the top of them. And you're going to leave it so it's got clumps and it's pretty well covered, because this is going to crust up as well. And so that way, if it's with the melting
butter and sugar goes together.
Exactly. There we go. We've got that there, and I'm going to reserve just a little bit because we're going to do another step here. So this is ready to go in the oven now. As you can see, our layers to it. Then we've got our butter again on each of the triangles, and that's ready to go. That's at a 375-degree oven. And it's a convection oven, so therefore we can cook on more than one shelf. So what I've also got here are some tortillas that we will take, and we're going to take these and we're going to cut them up, and we'll put them on a different shelf in the oven. So what I'm going to do is get a knife here, and we'll cut right across there. And what we're going to end up doing is we're going to use these for our chips. Once again, they're baked instead of fried like you would have at a restaurant. So that way it's...
Scissors work really well for that too.
Hey, great idea. Because in that way it a lot of times with your rocking motion of your knife, it'll take care of it. But and then what we're going to do... Now, if you want to go on and start spreading some of those out to cover, I'll try to control the knife.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But anything you can do like that helps.
But what we're going to do is we're going to do half of this sheet with the regular ones, and then the other half we're going to do to make them into dessert triangles here. So there we go. Put that one there. There we go. Just about the right amount to cover the sheet. Let's see if I can squeeze this last one in. There we go. And so for these on this side, one side over here, we're going to dust with the sugar, so that way those can be browned up and crisp and sweet.
You don't have to brush them with anything?
No. Well, when the sugar melts, it sticks.
Okay.
So that way you're good to go. And also it never hurts even though this had some parchment paper on it. A lot of times I like to use parchment paper on it because that way when the sugar melts, it doesn't stick. So instead we'll just scrub it up afterwards. But okay, we're going to get these on the preheated oven at 375 in the convection oven. We can put it on two different shelves. They'll cook at the same time. And we'll be right back with more Let's Get Cooking. Welcome back to Let's Get Cooking. We've got our stuffed sopapillas in the oven now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to heat up our pan here and get that hot. Nelda, we're making cilantro chicken here. So if you'll start cleaning and getting the cilantro leaves here.
Okay.
What I like to do when I buy herbs and get them home, first thing, rinse them off, wrap them in paper towels, so that way they're ready to use as soon as you pull them out of the fridge. So we've got a whole bunch here. We're probably going to eat about 3/4 of the bunch.
Okay.
Okay, now this is getting a little warm here, so we're going to go on and add just about a tablespoon of vegetable oil. You can also use olive oil, really either one. That way that's ready to go, and then I'll start cutting up our chicken here. What I like to do is cut it into strips first of all. Once again, our yellow cutting board we have here. I'm going to cut it into strips. We've freshened our chicken after being at the store. Freshened, rinsed with a little bit of vinegar water. Now we're going to cut this into about bite-sized pieces. We can hear that sizzle start. That's already getting warm. And what you want to do is brown your chicken just a little bit. So we're going to get all this cut up here, so that way we'll be good to go. There we go. But just one more way of celebrating Cinco De Mayo here. But cilantro chicken is one of those you can vary the hotness on it. Really, it's all once again all according to taste. And cutting here into strips. But you know, some people think of it as just a Mexican holiday. Well, no, it's a holiday for anybody who wants to celebrate. You know, And any reason to have a party, I think it's good. You know, life is too short not to enjoy it and celebrate every day. So,
Every
here we
day
go.
should be a party
There we go.
because it's one more day of life.
Mhm.
Okay, looks like you're about ready for the cilantro. I'll finish up here and get it over to you.
Well, before we do that, there's still a little bit of pink in the chicken here. I want to add a little bit of seasonal. If you don't flavor your chicken while it's cooking, you're never going to get the flavor in it. So while that's continuing to cook, I've got that seasonal, and we'll just toss that in. But,
Okay, did you know that today they have seasonal that is spicy?
Well,
Doctored up, and it would really be good in something like this.
well, we're going to add some heat to it in just a
Oh,
minute.
good.
But they've also got a salt-free version,
Yes.
so that's good. It's almost like a version of Mrs. Dash or something. But before we add the cilantro, what I'm going to add is, like I said, I was going to spice it up a little bit. This is a salsa verde, and that's really. Let me make sure I got all that pink out first. That's not something we don't want to make anybody sick.
No.
So what we're going to do is about half this jar of the salsa verde into there. We'll let it heat back up just a little bit, and you can go on and add the cilantro now.
Is that salsa, is it hot or just tasty?
It's tasty. Now, if you add a whole lot of it, you can make it hot.
Okay. You know I love hot, so that's... But might need to add something else with it for heat, right?
Right, if you want to, and really, it's one of those, what we're going to do is we're going to let this heat back up, and you want to probably go on and taste it then, and that way you decide whether you want to add some more heat to it. You can always add a dash of cayenne. That's my favorite. But what we're doing is, as you notice, she put the cilantro into the bowl for her veggies. That way it's separate from the chicken. But we're going to heat this back up, and we're going to start on our salsa and another side to go with our cilantro chicken. So we'll finish this up, put it back on the stove in the kitchen, and we'll be right back with more Let's Get Cooking. Welcome back to Let's Get Cooking. We've got that cilantro chicken in the kitchen finishing up. So what we're going to do now is work on some of our sides. I've got some zucchini. It's a little out of season, but I was able to find some. And Nelda's going to get started on this other side with our, you want to call it pico de gallo, or are you going to do a little longer when we make it salsa?
Your choice.
Okay, well.
Their choice if they make it.
Exactly. So I'll let you get started there. Let's see. What we've got is a jalapeno pepper, tomatoes, garlic, onion, and some cilantro. Your favorite, right?
Right.
Okay. And then back over here, I'm working with some zucchini squash here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slice this in a diagonal. That way, instead of just being a round piece, really simple, easy. You see it's more than just flat. And I'm going to line the inside of a baking dish here. This is another one of those variations. So while you've got one thing in the oven and one thing on the stove, you could do this in the microwave. So we'll get all of these cut up here and just line the baking dish so that way it's fast and easy. Now you're going to want to make these about even slices. If you can do this in the summertime, it's even better because you can get some really fresh zucchini right out of the garden. But right now, this is about the freshest I could find. So I'm just going to layer these here into the baking dish. Again, like I said, we're cutting in a diagonal. And this is going to make a really simple side to go with our cilantro chicken. And then we've got our chips that we've also got going to have in the oven at the same time as our stuffed sopapillas. So here we go once again. Now with this, what we're going to do is we're just going to end up sprinkling the top of it with a little bit of seasoning. It's not going to take very much. You want to really enjoy the flavors of the zucchini. And then again, you could always use the salsa or pico de gallo if you wanted to heat it up some. So it's...
If you can go over there and get your...
There we go.
Yeah.
There you are. We'll make it work there. It's the simple stuff, right?
If it's simple, it's impossible to do.
All right. Looks like that should be enough to cover the bottom here. Now, as you get through with this, it's going to be... What we've got here is just a regular seasoning. This is a salt-free seasoning, in fact, that we have this time. And we're just going to sprinkle it over the tops. That way it's going to add just a little bit of color as well. And this is going to go, we're going to put saran wrap over the top of it. It'll go for just a couple of minutes in the microwave. And really I think it takes 4. But, and then that's at full wattage. And then those are done. And just leave the saran wrap on it. and it'll continue, and they'll be nice and soft and ready to go. Now, what can I do to help you?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes, okay. I'm going to set this zucchini aside.
And then I'll charge you for doing the onions when I start crying.
Okay, okay. So let's see, you're working on chopping up the onion here. Okay, and what we're going to do is basically we're just chopping these into pieces, and medium-sized pieces, and putting them in the Cuisinart here, so that way it's easy to go. I guess this is our food processor, not our Cuisinart. This is a GE model, but we've got some new things going, and this summer, in fact, we're going to be taking some field trips, and we'll be cooking off-site at several other locations. So you'll have to make sure and watch and see. Now, once again, like I said, these tomatoes are a little out of season, so they're a little softer than what you can get in the summertime. But we're just going to put all this really quick and simply here into the food processor. And now, how many tomatoes do you want?
Probably about 4 or 5.
Okay. Well, since we have 4, I guess we'll do 4 today, huh?
Okay, sounds good. That'll work.
And then
got to get the cilantro going.
Okay. Let's see if this will do. There we go. But if you can have firmer tomatoes, it's a little bit easier. So that way you can do it more of a pecca de gallo style, or that way you can seed the tomatoes as well at that point. But it's one of those. It's all a matter of taste where you want to go with it. It's when we make our tomato basil soup, we always want to use seed our tomatoes ahead of time as well. So here we go.
Now you are stirring up quite a fragrance over there with those tomatoes.
You can smell the tomatoes? I know.
No, actually it's these onions, but that was a good excuse.
Oh, okay. Now I thought you loved tomatoes.
I do. I love tomatoes.
All right.
Especially fresh ones.
And that's one of those things. You can always even smell if the tomatoes old. Now, I've got a pepper over here. Do you want the pepper?
No, I'll take, give me the pepper. I can do that.
Here we go. Now, you're going to want to make sure and seed that pepper good, because that's going to add heat too.
I understand that the heat of a pepper is in the white membrane and seeds.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly. So that way, get rid of those, and you're going to be able to enjoy it a little bit more and not just have to deal with the heat. There we go. Oh, let's see. You wanted all 4 though, didn't you? Let's get this last one then. All right. Makes it really simple and good. That way you don't have to spend all the time in the kitchen. This is another one you can do ahead of time, just like with the stuffed sopapillas that you can put in the oven. You can have that in the fridge ahead of time and put it in the oven while you're cooking. You can do this ahead of time as well. So that way spend the time with your guest. Isn't
it actually better done ahead of time for the flavors to blend?
Yes, ma'am. Now, we put in fresh garlic. You could also use garlic powder in it if you so chose and didn't have access to fresh garlic. It's just I keep a braid of garlic in the kitchen all the time. And then we're also going to add some of this salt-free seasoning to this as well. So there we go. Okay. There we go, right there into the top of it. And then after we get all this done too, we're going to end up adding just a little bit of lime juice. All there? All right. Now we'll just take this and we will pulse it just a little bit. That'll break it up. See, if you tilt it over, it's going to go more from one side than the other. So that's going to help all those pieces come together. I see some cilantro floating up there on top. But that way it all disappears now.
It doesn't
So there we go. No, it doesn't. So therefore, we've got that fresh and ready to go. We're going to get the zucchini in the microwave. So that way that'll be good to go, and we'll see you right back with more Let's Get Cooking. Welcome back to Let's Get Cooking. Okay, we've got it all together on one table. Now, what we're going to do, here we have got our chicken cilantro that we cooked with our salsa verdes, You can see it's cooked it on the stove just a little bit longer than we had when we were here on set, and so that way it thickened up a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is get a flour tortilla here. We microwave those just a little bit, and we'll put it over here onto our plate. Let's see what we can do to get that on there. Now, something we discussed too is, if you want to add a little bit more of the verde to it, you can. But it's a very simple dish to make and really quick that we can have there, and it's hearty as well. But if you want a little more heat, taste it. If you want to add some more heat, add just another dash of cayenne to it. But we'll roll this over here and put it there onto our plate to serve. And then we've got our fresh salsa here that we've made.
Smells good.
It does, doesn't it? You can smell the garlic, the onions, all of it's right there together. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put that here across the top of it. Let's get a couple of them. Hey, now if somebody says, oh, that's too hot, they can always scrape it off to the side. So that's not an issue either. It's really, according to taste, you have to know your guest. So that way, if it's your husband, Jerry, skip the heat altogether.
That's right.
And then we've got some of our baked tortilla strips that we'll put here with it as well. So, and now now these are our zucchinis that if you can find fresh summer ones, that's great. Otherwise, just take these here that are not quite of the season, and you can get those just to go right here on the plate with it. There we are. That way that one's good to go. Okay, and now Nelda over here has our baked sopapillas. This is a baked sopapilla casserole that we've done that we used croissants. We lined the bottom of the pan with croissants. Then we have a layer of cream cheese and sugar that we had. It was 2 cream cheese and 1 cup of sugar. And then we have another layer of croissants over the top. You can even see where we had the butter, but then the crispness here of our brown sugar and it's regular sugar. But it made it brown, adding the sugar and cinnamon together. So now if you'll go on and cut that into some triangles there, and we'll serve that up here on this front plate. But as we said in the beginning, it's kind of another way of celebrating Cinco de Mayo here. It's our Mexican theme. But we also did put a non-stick spray on the pan ahead of time, so that way it'd make these hopefully a little bit easier to get out.
Hopefully.
Oh yes, sometimes it varies, but these are still just a little bit warm out of the oven. Now you're going to burn your finger if you're not careful.
I know. I feel that warm.
But they're good. They're one of those everybody seems to enjoy them every time. But we've got these. We've got this together. Now to go with that, what we're going to do is we're going to put a couple of that same cinnamon sugar that we put on those same tortilla chips. But we made our tortilla chips using flour tortillas, so we'll put those right there on the plate to go with it and be ready and good to go. So I hope y'all enjoyed this Cinco de Mayo celebration dinner, and we will see you next time on Let's Get Cooking.